Welcome back to WION World is One. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Heathrow and here's what we've lined up for you on the show today. Let's get started. A US judge has ordered that Indian researcher at Georgetown University, Badr Khan Suri, shall not be removed from the country after he was arrested due to his alleged ties with a senior Hamas advisor. A judge of the Eastern District of Virginia court ordered Suri shall not be removed from the United States unless and until the court issues a contrary order. Suri's lawyer demanded his release and denounced the arrest as a targeted retaliatory detention that was intended to silence or at the very least restrict and chill his speech, as well as that of others who expressed solidarity and support for Palestinian rights. Suri was accused of allegedly spreading Hamas propaganda and anti-Semitism on social media and having links to Hamas leaders. Donald Trump has said that the United States will sign a minerals and natural resources deal with Ukraine shortly, and that his efforts to achieve a peace deal in the Russia-Ukraine war are going pretty well. Trump made the comments at a White House event after signing an order to increase U.S. production of critical minerals. He referred to his peace talks this week with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Russia and U.S. experts are due to discuss ways to ensure the safety of shipping in the Black Sea during talks on possible Ukrainian peace settlement in Saudi Arabia. Zelensky has said that Ukrainian experts will be present at the upcoming talks with the United States and Russia, but will not be in the same room as Russia. During his visit to Norway, Zelensky said that a meeting between Ukraine and the United States will be held, followed by some shuttle diplomacy. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order aimed at dismantling the Department of Education, a promise he made during the 2024 election campaign. The move will transfer control of the educational institutions to states and local boards. The orders say the Education Secretary will take all the necessary steps to facilitate the closure of the Department of Education and return authority over education to the states and local communities. Surrounded by school children sitting at desks set up in the East Room of the White House, Trump smiled as he held up the order after signing it at a special ceremony. He said that the order would begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all. The order offers no details on how that work will be carried out or where it will be targeted, though the White House has said that the agency will retain certain critical functions. Trump has cast the move as necessary to save money and improve educational standards in the United States, claiming they are lagging behind those in Europe and China. After 2.5 years of captivity in Afghanistan, the Taliban has freed a U.S. citizen, making him the third American detainee to be released by the Taliban since January. The release of George Glizman marks a significant diplomatic breakthrough between the United States and Afghanistan. The release of American citizens was secured through Qatari mediation and direct talks between the U.S. and Taliban officials in Kabul. Glizman, an airline mechanic for Delta Airlines, went to Afghanistan as a tourist in late 2022, and according to his family, he intended to spend 5 days in the country exploring its history and culture. He was detained by the Taliban's intelligence service but was never charged with any crime or offense. Afghanistan's deputy spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Hafiz Zia Ahmad Takal, said that the Islamic Emirate considers dialogue, understanding and diplomacy as effective avenues for resolving all issues. He also said that the release of the American citizen was a goodwill gesture. London's Heathrow Airport will remain closed after a fire at an electrical substation knocked out power to the airport. About 150 people have been evacuated after a transformer within an electrical substation caught fire in West London. In a statement, the airport authorities have requested the passengers not to travel to the airport under any circumstances. It added that it will provide an update on operations when it has more information on restoring power. Scottish and Southern Electricity Network said in a post on X that the power outage affected more than 16,300 homes. Even as efforts continue to secure a ceasefire in Ukraine, the war has intensified further. Russia's Kursk region, which has recently been retaken from Ukrainian forces, is witnessing heavy destruction. Images show burned military vehicles in Kursk's Sudzha district, destroyed buildings and abandoned armored vehicles can be seen dotted around the city. Russian soldiers are seen observing the damage to several structures, including an Orthodox church. Last week, Russia claimed control of Sudzha, the largest town that Ukraine had occupied in the Kursk region. Ukraine's forces in Kursk are now in retreat, which means Ukraine has lost a valuable bargaining chip as momentum builds for ceasefire. Ukraine is also battling under growing pressure in its eastern Donetsk region, where Russian troops have been advancing for months. Russian forces struck a military train carrying ammunition and armaments. Russian Defense Ministry says the train was carrying weapons for Ukrainian troops. Russia has increased the intensity of the attacks and has struck various Ukrainian cities. The central Ukrainian city was the worst hit. Images show the devastation unleashed by Russian glide bombs. Ukrainian authorities say the Russian forces dropped more than 30 glide bombs on Kupiansk, that is in Kharkiv region. The attack left one person dead and 3 others injured. Houthi rebel media has reported fresh strikes in Yemen as the United States steps up attacks against Iran-backed militia. According to reports, 4 strikes were reported in Yemen's Hodeidah Governorate on the Red Sea, and a further attack hit the Houthi stronghold of Sada in the north. The U.S. Central Command also released a fresh footage of aircraft taking off from an undisclosed location to continue U.S. operations against the Houthis in Yemen. Israel has stepped up its military operation against Hamas in the Gaza Strip, with its ground operations extending into Shabura camp in Rafah. Additionally, airstrikes were carried out across Gaza, leaving a trail of death and destruction. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, at least 710 Palestinians have been killed so far. But in a miracle of sorts, a month-old baby girl survived an Israeli attack which killed her parents and brother in Gaza's Khan Yunis. The baby was rescued through the rubble of the collapsed building. The military actions in Gaza come even as Israelis took to the streets to protest against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The protesters called on Netanyahu to agree to a hostage deal and a ceasefire in Gaza. Lebanese state media reported Israeli strikes on the country's south and east. According to the IDF, it struck a military site containing an underground terrorist infrastructure in Lebanon's Bekaa, as well as rocket launching site in southern Lebanon. Turkey riot police fired tear gas and rubber bullets as demonstrators protested for a second night outside Istanbul City Hall over the arrest of Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu in graft and terror probe. Clashes broke out between police and protesters as thousands took to the streets over what they call the undemocratic detention of Istanbul's mayor. Protests took place in various locations across Istanbul and capital Ankara. Despite a ban on gatherings, police barricades and dozens of detentions over social media posts. A handful of students tried to cross the barriers, prompting scuffles with police who fired rubber bullets. Thousands of opposition supporters gathered outside the Istanbul municipality building. They waved Turkish flags and chanted slogans in protest of the decision, while main opposition Republican People's Party CHP leader Özgür Özel addressed them.
Mücadeleyi bırakmak yok.
North Korea has conducted a test fire of its latest anti-aircraft missile system in a drill watched by leader Kim Jong-un. The North Korean state media did not mention the location of the test. The launch comes as South Korea wrapped up a major annual joint military exercise, Freedom Shield, with the United States. Kim praised the anti-aircraft missile system and said North Korea's army would be equipped with another major defense weapon system with laudable combat performance. According to reports, the test conducted by North Korea was to examine the performance of a system whose production has already begun. OpenAI is facing yet another complaint regarding its popular chatbot ChatGPT, and this time it's over a fabricated and deeply disturbing story. None of your business. It's a Vienna-based privacy campaign group. It has filed a complaint against the Norwegian Data Protection Authority, alleging that ChatGPT falsely accused a Norwegian man of murdering his children. According to NOYB, a Norwegian man was presented with a made-up horror story when he inquired about himself on ChatGPT. The chatbot falsely identified him as a convicted criminal who murdered two of his children and attempted to murder his third child. NOYB states that fabricated story includes real elements of the personal life of the person involved in this, of course adding to the distress. And this incident adds to a growing list of complaints against OpenAI with concerns over ChatGPT's tendency to hallucinate and generate false information. Elon Musk's Tesla has recalled nearly 46,000 Cybertrucks in the United States due to a potentially dangerous trim issue. The recall affects every Cybertruck manufactured between November 13, 2023 to February 27, 2025. According to Tesla recall report, the car's exterior trim panel could potentially detach from affected vehicles if it delaminates, which could potentially result in road accidents. Now, this is the 8th recall for the Cybertruck since its launch in December 2023. The recall could prove to be a setback for Tesla, which has seen its stock value plummet by roughly half in 2025 amid concerns over its CEO Elon Musk's political ties with US President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Tesla has announced that it will be replacing the rail on recalled vehicles free of charge. This involves using a new adhesive and clamping the panel to the vehicle with a nut. Tesla trade-ins have hit a record high this month, with 1.4% of all vehicles traded in being Teslas, up to 0.4% from a year prior. The surge comes as CEO Elon Musk faces backlash over his advisory role in the Trump administration, triggering protests and even vandalism of Tesla properties. Used Tesla prices are dropping and brand loyalty is in question. With consumer interest hitting its lowest level since 2022, analysts warn that this could open doors for rival EV makers as Tesla's stock has nearly halved from its January peak. Japan's core inflation hit 3% in February, staying above the Bank of Japan's 2% target for the 35th straight month. An index including fresh food and fuel costs rose at its fastest pace in nearly a year, signaling broadening price pressures. Rising food costs and wage growth have strengthened expectations of another rate hike, possibly in May or July. While service inflation remains moderate, soaring prices for essential services, for essentials like vegetables and electricity, continue to squeeze households. Analysts warn that BOJ may tighten policy more aggressively than was expected. Oil prices head for a second straight weekly gain as fresh US sanctions on Iran and new OPEC Plus output cuts raise supply concerns. The US Treasury imposed new sanctions targeting Iranian oil shipments, expected to slash exports by 1 million barrels per day. Meanwhile, OPEC Plus announced additional production cuts lasting until June 2026 to offset prior overproduction. Analysts warn that tightening supply could drive oil prices higher in the coming months. U2 is said to become the first Irish songwriters to receive the prestigious Ivor Novello Fellowship awarded by the UK's largest not-for-profit association for songwriters. Bono, The Edge, Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen Jr. will be honoured on the 22nd of May in London. This esteemed recognition follows in the footsteps of previous honorees Bruce Springsteen, Kate Bush and Paul McCartney. Reacting to the news, Bono shared the band's humble beginnings, while Clayton expressed gratitude for the recognition. Sia filed for divorce from second husband Daniel Bernard after 2 years of marriage. The Grammy-nominated Australian singer-songwriter, whose legal name is Sia Furler, filed the petition in LA Superior Court. She cited irreconcilable differences as the reason for her decision. She asked the court to award no spousal support payments to Bernard. She is also seeking legal and physical custody of their 11-month-old child, Summersol Wanda Bernard. For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.